Hey guys, it's Shingy. The role of transparency is this year's theme at the Seattle Interactive Conference. It all became clear when I spoke to Michelle Goldberg from Ignition and Rebecca Kaden from Maveron about the state of investing in wearable technologies and where they see the physical device space is headed. As VCs, what is it that you're looking at in this current climate? What sort of companies are you guys both finding quite interesting, and what are you investing in?
Wearables certainly is a technology, I'm not supposed to talk about that yet, but a technology that's on the horizon. So as VCs, we look at things that may be able to be commercial a little bit earlier, but definitely looking towards those trends. And then I think Rebecca and I are both talking about looking at a lot of lifestyle things and a lot of internet, retail, online, offline that involves women and digital commerce and commerce.
We're very focused on looking at things that can attack big and also growing categories.
Yeah.
So I think one where that fits is the idea of online and offline. So things that bridge both worlds. And so far for us, that's been a lot of e-commerce, moving the shopping experience online. But increasingly, that's moving to many more categories, including wearables, including consumer hardware in general and the connected home. Including services, the idea of your mobile phone as a remote control where you can control the offline world from your phone. So a lot of those things that bridge that gap, I think we're really excited about. So
tell me about wearables. What is it that intrigues you about wearables? Is it the fact we have two wrists, one face? Or is it something else?
More spin.
No, not so much that. I think what's interesting about wearables is the technology that's used to create wearables is so easy to program.
Yeah.
And so there's so many cool things that can be done with it. But I think from a technical perspective, it's interesting in the technology, but I also think wearables are going to be a form of self-expression, right? They're going to get a lot cooler, they're going to get a lot more like the accessories and items that we know and love and want to wear anyway, and they're going to look a lot less like technology, but they're going to be really embedded with technology.
How about you, Rebecca?
What I think about when I think about wearables is this idea that data is becoming important to a consumer the way that it once became important to a business, and the idea that I can have an increased level of consciousness in what I'm doing and what I know about my health or my activity level or how I interact with the world around me, and that accessibility isn't something that we've had before, but technology can provide that. And I think the use cases of that are still largely really, really early. We've seen some kind of basic ones with I can now know pretty easily how many steps I can take. But now we all know we can throw an accelerometer in a piece of plastic and it can do that for me. So what else can I know? What else is important for me to know? And how can I take that data and use it to change how I live? And I think there's so many opportunities in that, and we're kind of in the first inning of how wearables will do it.
What about brands? So a lot of the challenge with this is, especially when you go to some of these other physical tech experiences or conferences, you see these things and think, well, that's amazing. But as the world moves to potentially screenless devices or wearables, today it's okay on a phone because my brand expression is on the phone and it's an action. But when there's no screen, but it's creating data to something else, you don't get to see your brand.
There's no visual symbol.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen with brands? What do you think?
I mean, I think that it just raises the bar to become that ubiquitous kind of product that captures hearts and minds for consumers. I think when I think of a brand, it's something that people love and talk about and tell their friends, and usually that's actually not differentiated technology. Technology is there, and it takes that technology and harnesses kind of extreme excitement around it. And I think what the task is now for a lot of the companies we're talking about is in stuff that can't be splashy or can't just it's not a watch that everyone sees everywhere, how to kind of harness that engagement even without that visual cue.
I think, it's like Facebook. Facebook, everybody got nervous because Facebook was a small screen on mobile, and how are people going to advertise there, and the stock plummeted, and then they figured out advertising on mobile, stock went back up. I think people will figure it out. And I think, as Rebecca said, it's not necessarily going to be that brand advertising in your face, but it'll go back to where the brands actually were, where you're wearing brands and you're interacting with brands all the time. You just may not be looking at that logo all the time.
It's incredible to see some insiders' knowledge on what's happening with wearable tech, and thanks for spending some time with me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much.